Over the past day, the Ukrainian Armed Forces successfully repelled Russian attacks near Avdiivka, east of Stupochky and near Dyliivka on the Bakhmut front under heavy fire from Russian aircraft and artillery. Source: General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine on Facebook. Information is of 6 o'clock on the 26th of July. Details: over the past day, the Russians launched a missile and 65 airstrikes and fired 84 times from multiple launch rocket systems on the positions of our troops and settlements. There were civilian casualties, with residential buildings and other civilian infrastructure facilities being damaged as well. 26 combat engagements between the defense forces and the Russians took place over the past day. On the Severshchina and Slobozhenshchina fronts, Russian forces kept their military presence. They conducted airstrikes in the vicinity of Veterinarn and Haran of Kharkiv Oblast. They deployed mortars and artillery to fire on more than 20 civilian settlements, including Semenivka, Chernihiv Oblast, Vilna Sloboda, Svarkov, Stepny, Basivka, Moritsia, Pokrovka and Oleksandrivka, Sumy Oblast, and Hariv Kazakha, Haranov, Vovchansk, Bochkov and Budarki, Kharkiv Oblast. On the Kupiansk front, Ukrainian defenders are holding the line. Russian aircraft struck areas near Novoselivsky, Luhansk Oblast. The settlements of Krasny Persh, Vorokna, Zapadna, Kupiansk, Kyslivka and Berestov, Kharkiv Oblast came under Russian mortar and artillery fire. On the Lyman front, the Russian forces conducted unsuccessful offensive operations south to Dubrova, Luhansk Oblast. They carried out airstrikes in and around Bilohorivka, Luhansk Oblast, and Serebryanka, Spern and Kuzminivka, Donetsk Oblast. They also shelled Nevsky, Luhansk Oblast, and Torsky, Verkhniokamyansk, Spern and Rozdilivka, Donetsk Oblast. On the Bakhmut front, Ukraine's defense forces repelled Russian assaults on areas to the east of Stupochky and near Dyliivka. Russian forces carried out airstrikes near Klashivka, Predtekine and Dyliivka, Donetsk Oblast. Over 10 settlements, including Vashukivka, Orikovo-Vasilivka, Bodanivka, Ivanovsky, Chasev Yar and Pivnikny, Donetsk Oblast came under Russian artillery fire. On the Avdiivka front, Ukrainian forces repelled Russian air and artillery-supported assaults in the vicinity of Avdiivka. The Russian forces attacked with artillery more than 10 civilian settlements, including Novokulinov, Avdiivka, Lastochkin, Vodian and Karlivka, Donetsk Oblast. On the Marinka front, Ukraine's defense forces are continuing to repel Russian attempts to advance near Marinka. The Russians conducted airstrikes near Nevelsky and Krasnohorivka. They bombarded Krasnohorivka, Heorhivka and Maximilianivka, Donetsk Oblast. On the Shakhtarsk front, Russian forces launched airstrikes near Novomikhailivka, Zolotaniva and Makarivka, Donetsk Oblast. They fired on more than 10 settlements, including Novomikhailivka, Vuhledar, Novokranka and Vlika Novosilka, Donetsk Oblast. The Russian forces on the Zaporizhia and Kherson fronts are focusing their efforts on preventing Ukrainian forces from advancing further. They conducted airstrikes in the vicinity of Novodorivka, Lavadna, Malotokhmichka and Orikhiv, Zaporizhia Oblast. They also attacked over 30 civilian settlements, including Novoandriivka, Lavadna, Malinivka, Huliaipol, Zaliznikny, Stepo, Lobkov and Kamyansk, Zaporizhia Oblast, and Dubchiny, Berislav, Kozatsky, Molodizhny, Antonivka, Komyshiny, Kizimys and Stanislav, Kherson Oblast. Meanwhile, Ukraine's defense forces continued to conduct offensive operations on the Melitopol and Berdyansk fronts, where they are consolidating the positions they had previously captured. Over the course of the day, Ukrainian aircraft carried out 9 strikes on areas where Russian military manpower, weapons and equipment were concentrated. Moreover, they destroyed a Russian Ka-52 attack helicopter, 5 Shahed 136 attack UAVs and 2 reconnaissance operational tactical UAVs. Units of Ukraine's rocket forces and artillery struck a cluster of Russian military manpower, weapons and equipment, 7 field artillery systems, 2 electronic warfare stations and 2 anti-aircraft missile systems. Governor. Ukraine enters Avdiivka village south of Bakhmut, battles continue. Ukrainian forces entered the village of Avdiivka south of Bakhmut but the fight in its vicinity continues, Donetsk Oblast Governor Pavlo Kyrylenko reported on July 25. The advance and liberation of the settlement took place, but now the fighting continues both within and outside the settlement, the governor said. Kyrylenko stressed that the villages surrounding Bakhmut have become scorched earth, and it is impossible for civilians to live there. The General Staff of Ukraine's Armed Forces reported earlier on July 25 that Russian forces have retreated from Avdiivka following Ukrainian offensive operations. In turn, Russian forces attempted unsuccessful offensive operations in the areas south of Ivanovsky, west of Klishivka, and northwest of Orikovo-Vasylivka, the General Staff informed. On July 24, Deputy Defense Minister Hanna Maliar said that Ukraine made steady advances along Bakhmut's southern flank over the past week, liberating 4 square kilometers. She reported the heaviest battles near Klishivka, Avdiivka, and Dyliivka. General Staff. Russia retreats from Avdiivka as Ukraine makes gains near Bakhmut. Elsa Court, the Kyiv Independent News Desk. July 25, 2023, 5:13 p.m. Russian forces have retreated from their positions in Avdiivka to the south of Bakhmut following a Ukrainian offensive operation, General Staff of Ukraine's Armed Forces spokesperson Andriy Kovalov said during a briefing on July 25. Ukraine is conducting offensive operations both north and south of the city of Bakhmut, in Donetsk Oblast. Around Bakhmut, Kovalov said that the Russians unsuccessfully advanced in the areas south of Ivanovsky, west of Klishivka, and northwest of Orikovo-Vasylivka. Kovalov reported on July 19 that Russian forces were pushed out from their positions near the village of Orikovo-Vasylivka. Ukrainian troops were also successful in the direction of Staromayorsk, where they drove out Russian forces, according to the General Staff. Staromayorsk is located on the southern front, in the far west of Donetsk Oblast. The troops are entrenched at the achieved boundaries, while Russian forces continue to put up strong resistance, moves their units, and use reserves, Kovalov added at the briefing. The General Staff of Ukraine's Armed Forces reported on July 25 that Russia has lost 243,680 troops in Ukraine since February 24 last year. This number includes 460 casualties suffered by Russian forces over the past day.